Good morning. Measurement, lesson 11, introduction to ratios. Okay, my short speech on ratios is ratios are like a fraction tipped sideways. So a ratio of, we say it like this, double, like a colon. You say it 3 to 4. So this little colon, you say is the ratio is 3 to 4. So say you were mixing concrete, right? You got a bag of concrete, maybe a couple of bags of concrete, and it'll say the ratio is like 1 to 4, which means that one bag of concrete. Kylie, turn it off. The ratio 1 to 4 means that you need one bag of concrete for 4 bags or 4 buckets of water. Okay? So the ratio would be 1 to 4. All right? Now, if you took that 1 to 4 and asked what is the fraction of concrete that's actually the bag, the powder, a quarter of it is. 1 part of it is concrete, 4 parts of it is water. Okay? So that's where we'll be heading with this. Math's really easy today. A lot of just counting. It's like fractions you've already done. Okay, so at first they talk about part to part, and then they talk about part to whole. So they've shown you a bunch of different shapes, and now they're asking you to write the part to part or the part to whole ratio for it. So there's a circle that's colored in, a square, a triangle, a square, a triangle, and a circle. And they're all colored in. Okay? The first one asks you, write the light circles to dark circles. So how many? Oh, I take it back. Okay, that was in the example. In this one, they've got a light circle, a dark circle, a light square, and 3 dark squares. Right? And they ask, the first question asks you light circles to dark circles. Well, how many light circles are there? 1, 2. So the first part is 2. How many dark circles are there? Well, there's 1. So the ratio is 2 to 1. Okay? You can do the next 3 questions. It is super easy. So go answer the rest of question 1. Okay, question 2. Some of these ratios are part to part and some are part to whole. They want you to underline the parts and circle the wholes. So it's days in a weekend and days in the week. Well, which one of those talks about the whole thing? If you're talking about days, you'd be talking about the whole, this is the whole week. This is only part of the week, right? So they want you to underline the parts. So days in the weekend is the parts. Circle the wholes, which is days in the week. There's all the days in the week. There's only 2 days in the weekend, right? And then it asks you for the ratio. Well, the days in the weekend, there's only 2, and the days in the week, there's 7. So the ratio is 2 to 7. Okay? Go do the rest of it. It got a little bit confusing for me when they asked me about days in January and days in June. Because really, it's not about wholes and parts. Those are 2 different things, right? So I assume what they were looking for, because they chose January and June, was January has 31 days and June has 30 days. So I'm assuming that it's 30 to 31 is the ratio they're looking for. But that one was a little bit confusing for me. Okay, you might have to do a little Google search for how many provinces are in Canada if you don't already know. All right, pause the video, go do question 2. Question 3, what does each ratio describe? Well, you've got a square, a circle, a triangle, a square, a circle, a triangle, and 3 squares. There are multiple answers to these questions. So they've given you a ratio of 2 to 3. What could it possibly be? Well, what are there 2 of in our grouping of shapes? There's 1, 2, 3, 4 squares, so it's not that. 1, 2, 3 circles, so it's not that. Oh wait, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 squares. 1, 2 triangles. All right, so let's say this is triangles. And what are there 3 of? All of our shapes are colored in, so it's nothing to do with color. Well, there's 1, 2, 3 circles. Now, if you don't want to write triangles and circles, you can go triangles to circles. I could care less. As long as you're showing me you understand what they're talking about. Okay? Go to question 3. Question 4, which ratio in question 3 is a part to whole? So you need to look back at those 3 answers. There's only 3 answers. Which of them talks about the entire collection of shapes? That's the one. Go answer question 4. Question 5, what does each ratio describe? Exact same thing again, but this time they've added in dark circles, light circles, and little circles. So you've got 3 attributes you can choose from. There are tons of things you can choose. There's, like light circles to dark circles, or circles to light squares. So it's very easy. Just find one of, like if it asks you for 3 to 4, you're gonna find the type of shape, size, and color that there's 3 of the same thing. And then you find something that there's 4 of the same thing. There will be multiple answers to each question. Okay? First page done, go answer number 5. Oh, wait, number 6. Oh, number 6, use words or pictures to create your own part-to-part ratio and part-to-whole ratio. Go ahead, make a selection of shapes, color them in, make them big, small, and then get a ratio for part to part, where you're comparing, like, say, circles to squares versus circles to all the shapes. The second one, you're going to do part to whole, where you would talk about, like, circles to all the shapes, the whole data set. Okay? Go do number 6. Number 7, write the ratio of circles to squares. So they're showing you a pattern, right? It's got a circle, a circle, a square. A circle, a circle, a square. A circle, a circle, a square. And they're asking you, there are 2 circles to how many squares? Easy, just fill it in. Same thing with the next one. How many circles for how many squares? All you have to do is count the squares. You've got to find, basically what you have to do is find the pattern root, right? The part that keeps repeating. In this case, it's circle, circle, square. Circle, circle, square. So this is the pattern root. Circle, circle, square. There are 2 circles for every rectangle or square, whatever it was. In the ones that you're going to do next, you just have to find the pattern root. Find the part that keeps repeating over and over again, and then you'll be able to say there are 2 circles for, and then count the squares that are in the pattern root, and you got it. Okay? E got a little bit, they've made it into a group in E where they show you 3 groups. Right? And in the groups, there's 4 circles and 3 squares. Right? And it says there are 4 circles for every how many squares. I just answered that, right? And in the next one, they are showing you circles and squares. There are 4 circles for each square for how many squares. Okay? Easy breezy. Go finish that one. And I'll see you for the last 2. Okay, G and H, they've regrouped circles and squares, okay? So what you need to think about is in this group, there are only circles, okay? In this group, there are only squares. There are equal numbers, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Oh my. there is an equal number of circles and squares here. So what is the ratio? If there's 3 boxes with squares in them, and there's an equal number in all of them, you could count it up and go, well, there's 5 circles here to 15 circles here. But what they actually want you to do is reduce, it's like a fraction. You're going to reduce it to lowest terms. And think of it as groups. How many groups of circles are there? 1 group of circles. How many groups of squares are there? 3 circles. But if you look at 1 to 3 as a fraction and 5/15 as a fraction, how do I get from 1 to 5? Times 5. Times 5 at the bottom, 3 times 5 is 15. So 1/3 and 5/15 are equivalent fractions. So you're going to finish that for the last 2 and you're done for the day. All right, go have some fun. If you're stuck, ask your parents for my phone number and I'll FaceTime with you and get you sorted out, okay? See you later.